whole time.
One of the many things I could never figure out is traffic. We all know traffic is just the bear. But when it's moving, it's, livable. You can do it. But the one thing that I never could understand is everything's going great and all of a sudden it's all slowing down. Why? And you're thinking, well, it must be an accident or something. And then you get these people that are passing you on the right and the left, and they're making their own lane. It's like they're more important, and it's like, what's going on here? You could let it bother you, or you could let it go. Monday morning, overslept, now it's late for work. Brushed for coffee, took a shower, I think I'll go berserk. Hit the highway, lots of traffic, people drive like jerks. Some guy named Dave report, why is everything so slow? Oh no, and I gotta let it go. This is my fate, gonna be late. Traffic's moving right along, a sea of cars ahead. Flashing lights, rubbernecking, how I miss my bed. Fender bender, nothing else, say everyone takes a look. Pay attention to your driving lessons from the handbook. Whoa, why is everything so slow? Oh no, and I gotta let it go. This is my fate, gonna be late. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. Conference calling while I'm driving, it's hard to hear the words. Team members dialing, we're all sharing, commuting stories heard. Traffic's lifting, might just make it, smooth sailing ahead. Some guy probably texting cuts me right off dead. Whoa, why is everything so slow? Oh no, and I gotta let it go. This is my fate, gonna be late. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. Slow. Oh no, and I gotta let it go. This is my fate, gonna be late. Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, and welcome to Performers on Performing. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and I'm the director of One Broadway Collaborative. We're here with some great people. On my left is Amanda Vantine, and she is a musician as well. And we also today have a special guest, and that's Ric Page, who's right here with us. Ric is a regular at One Broadway, and our topic today is performing. So we talk about performing on this show, and we have a lot of questions for Ric, and we'll just get into the discussion. Should be a lot of fun. But we just heard Ric do a performance from One Broadway, which was, I believe, from July last year. So it would have been 2022. As I said, Ric's been several times. And he also comes to open mic almost every week, which, by the way, is Sundays, 2 to 5. Anybody can show up. Amanda's also played. So we're now just going to get into the discussion. And Ric, while you're performing, things go through your head. What do you think about?
Lots of things. Number one, if I'm playing, I'm thinking of what's the next line, what are the next chords, and at the same time, assessing the audience to find out, am I connecting? And then, what am I going to play next? Because I want to have that all queued up. One of the things I hate is when they're done, oh, gee, let me look at my list and what I'm going to play next.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what's going through my mind.
Mm-hmm.
As a performer, have you found that the intuition of reading the crowd and knowing kind of where you want to go because you're responding to people, has that developed over time, or is that something that you've always had?
I think it's something that is developed over time. Now, granted, in this part of my life where I'm doing all my originals, it's not like everyone in the world, oh, I know that song, I'm going to sing along with it. It's, for most people, it might be the first or second time they've heard it.
Yeah.
And so I really need to hone in on, am I getting my message across? Who's connecting with me? Can I connect deeper with them so I draw them in, so the others who aren't as connected are like, oh, what am I missing here? So like a magnet.
It feels like a 50-50 where writing the song's half the battle, but the presentation of it and, like you said, connecting with people is the other half. Like, is this landing?
Yes. It's not always 50-50. Sometimes, 90% is trying to get people to listen.
Yeah.
I mean, the venue is very important.
Yeah.
If you're in a listening environment, it's much easier. But if you're fighting with other people having, a beer or talking about their day or their next door neighbor, your background music.
Yep.
And that's more difficult when you're doing your own original stuff. I mean, you can always pick some things that that will be conducive to the environment. Like, this is a good, sing-along or good beat song that goes good with a beer.
Yeah.
Or versus, this is a deep song and you're going to be really thinking about this as what I'm singing, and hopefully you get the message. So it's not always 50-50, but
but that's good that you have that kind of intuition to read, oh, this type of venue is like, if I could pull out a crowd pleaser, I would, versus this is a coffee shop, 2 p.m. on a Sunday, and people are there to listen to live local musicians.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very cool.
And it's always good that if you're in that environment, you can always slip in something that they might know.
Yep.
So, oh, I know that song, so now
Keep
I
them
have their
hooked.
attention, and then play something that's similar to it. That could be the next song on the album per se.
Yeah.
But it's hit or miss.
Yep.
And it's just school of hard knocks. Just do it and find out what works, what doesn't work.
Yep.
And some days are better than others.
Yeah.
So, do you you play a lot at One Broadway, and of course we don't have beer. We don't do the drinking thing. Was there like a really difficult experience you had at a bar? Because I know I've hated playing at bars because nobody's listening, it seems.
Very, very few.
Yeah.
There used to be a song circle or songwriters circle in a brewery. And when it was slow, there were a lot of musicians there, so they were listening. But if it got busy, all of a sudden it's difficult. They're not listening. And this is when you have to dip into your arsenal of songs and say, okay, this is a song that will suit this environment.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But as a songwriter, you want to play certain ones that you feel strongly about, and they may not be typical for that type of environment. So you have to weigh it out and find out. I think one of the most difficult things would be in a round robin type thing, you get one song, and if you don't get them right away, your background.
You have to make it count. Yeah.
And so the next person learns from your mistakes and say, I was going to play this song, but you know what? I think this song would be better. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, they go like that. And it's like,
Every other person's a guinea pig for the next person.
exactly. Yeah, no one wants to go first.
Yeah.
And no one wants to go last either. So,
Yeah.
you want to be like second or third, but
Yeah, but you
sometimes
could end up following somebody who's really good. And then,
everyone is good in their own way. Some are extremely good. Some are like crowd pleasers.
well, that's what I mean.
Yeah. And it's, music, songs you write are your children. So you're proud of your children. So you want to pick the right child at the right time. And sometimes that's easier than not.
Right.
So
Yeah. Especially depending on the type of music you write and the energy you bring and where you're playing. And what would you identify your type of music if you had to put it in a genre or something? What do you like to write? What comes to you most easy?
the hardest part about my music is it doesn't fit in any pigeonhole. Whenever I submit a song for like a songwriting contest, they want you to pick from, what kind of song
Cue
is
the
this?
Jeopardy music. You're like,
And I looked at the whole thing. I said, none of these.
yeah,
And the closest ones oftentimes are jazz,
okay.
but it's not. I don't call it
That's
jazz.
such a broad. Jazz is
Yeah,
such a big
and
spectrum.
a lot of people think of jazz like the smooth jazz, the background of sipping wine and cheese, and the highbrow type jazz or the avant-garde jazz.
Yeah.
I have things that fit into that, but I don't consider it jazz.
Yeah.
And it's not folk, and it's not really pop. And all of my songs, I honestly try to make all of my songs different. So, I mean, me personally, when I go hear someone play and I like the one song and then the next song they do sounds like the other song, it's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I know it's difficult sometimes because oftentimes I'll write a song and say, oh, I really like this, I really like this. And then when I'm playing it, I play it with another song and I say, ooh, never put those two together. There's so
Oh,
much
okay.
alike.
Yep.
They're not the same, but the same feel is like, okay, never put those two
Break
together.
it up a little bit, yeah.
Yes.
No, that's good that you have flexibility as an artist, though, to kind of not pigeonhole yourself like that and be able to be like, nope, today I'm feeling jazzy. I'm going to write a jazz song, pop, country, folk, whatever you like. It comes to you, you write it down. It's its own
Exactly.
thing, and you move on.
Yes.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
Nice thing about writing your own things.
Yeah, you get to do whatever you want.
Yeah. So do you? How often do you write?
I write every day.
Do you really?
I write every day.
That's impressive.
I'm not going to say I finish everything every day. I have, for me, and everyone's different. Some people write the words or the melody first, and then they get the music, and other people have the music, and then they fit the words on that. Either one works for me, but not always. Generally, for me, is if I'm practicing, I'll be playing something and say, oh, I like that. And then I don't want to forget it, so I'll turn on the recorder and I'll
Do that.
record it.
Yep.
And I call those orphans. And as time goes on, I'll sit and listen to the recordings, and many times I'll say, I don't ever remember playing that. And it's like, oh, I like that. What was I doing?
It's from
You
2
know,
years
and
ago,
then-
out of the
And then
brush
I'll have
the
to
dust off.
listen to it and kind of learn it again. But I was so glad that I taped it.
Yep.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, for when it comes to words, I have something called a lyric pool. So a neat phrase is, oh, I like that. I'll put it in this.
Now I got to
Ben.
ask you: do you write it down physically, pen and paper, or you write it in like the notes section
I have
of
it
your
in
phone?
my notes of my phone. Or else if I'm
Yep.
at my PC, I have a file, I just call it lyric pool, and I'll just add things to it.
Yep.
So when I get to the point of, okay, I like this song, I have a melody, I have a gift of being able to pick out melodies over chords. So when I'm playing the chords and getting the structure together, I'll have gibberish melodies. And then it's like, okay, now I have the melody and I have the structure of it. What is this song about? Sometimes it will speak to me and say, this song is about this. And other times, your guess is as good as mine. So
Yeah.
I'll look at my lyric pool and I'll say, what are things that kind of fit together? And I'll put those and kind of think about those and say, here's the thought on that, and I could use these things for that. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it, and there's no one way of always doing it. So it's a little of this, a little of that.
I feel that we write in a very similar style.
A lot of
Some
people
people, you know, they sit down and they write the whole song top to bottom. I've done that before.
I've done that
Other
too.
times I'll be like in the car on the way home and hear a melody and take out my voice recorder and go and then 2 years later I'll listen to it and write a whole song on, you know. So I feel like you kind of do that same thing where it just depends on when it speaks through you and how it comes out and how long it
Exactly.
takes. Nothing's predictable. So
That's right, which is nice.
Yeah,
because
there's no pressure.
music lives
Yeah.
and it breathes.
Yep.
And many times, you know, I'll have an idea and I'll play it and say, I don't like that. Then I'll listen to it later and I'll say, that was great.
You're just in a bad mood that day.
Right.
It
Now
all
it's
depends on when you
fantastic.
hear it and what's going on when you're hearing it the second time.
Yep.
And so thank God I have the providence to record things.
Yep.
Have you-
They have, sorry.
Yeah.
There have been a few times when at nighttime I said, I'll remember this tomorrow. No.
No, you never will.
Gone.
I've done that. You never
I
will.
sort of remember what I was playing, but the feel and everything is just wrong. It's gone forever. It's
Yep.
oh, well, live and learn.
Cadence is lost to the wind. Good.
Do you ever feel like when you finish a song and you play it, that you get the wrong reaction from the audience and you're like, I don't know what I was thinking? Or the opposite, you have a song that you just throw in there and everybody is like, wow, that's the best song I ever heard, and you don't think so. Like, what happens? How do you...
That's a good question. There's like a couple of questions within that. There have been times when it's like, I feel really good about this song and I play it, and then it's like, you know, crickets, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, was it the performance of it? Okay, maybe people weren't listening, but I still like it.
Oh yeah.
And then I
you
may
have to.
rethink it and say, okay, how can I buff this up or make it shine or add something to catch the ears? And other times, crazy things that I throw together and I'll play, and everyone says, oh, I love that song.
So always
And
how it
it's like,
goes.
really? This took me like 10 minutes, you know, and I was just
Yep.
playing it. And, oh, I love that song. And other things I'll be working on for years. And finally I get it, and it's like, nothing, you know.
Well, what happened with the song you wrote where you had this big guitar riff and then you go, what? And that's your COVID-19 song. Now, when you do that, did you know that people would be really attracted to saying, what? Like that, which is what they did.
I did not know that, and when I wrote the song, I was thinking of having some kind of something for a break, but don't do it more than 3 times, the rule of 3, because after that it's like, no, this is too much. And at first, I didn't say what,
Oh, yeah.
and I think I don't know what I said, but one time I just said, what? And I said, oh, that works, and I kept that. And when I played the song, number one, it was, everyone remembers the words, and the part of the song is I use a falsetto like one of my highest notes, so I know that not everyone can hit it.
It's ear catching immediately.
But they try to,
Yeah.
you know. And then you'll hear people out there go, whoa, you know, they're trying to hit the thing, and it just puts a smile on people's face.
Yeah.
And it's a dark song, but made light. It's called Living the Dream,
Yeah.
and it's about what you're doing when you're in lockdown. I mean, you're stuck at home, you know, and it's like you have to make your own enjoyment.
Yeah.
And so I just captured on what the typical days were during that time.
Yep.
And everyone could relate to that. Not everyone was a musician, but they could relate to, oh yeah, I remember that. I mean, I have a line in there, so trying hard not to touch my face. Oh, I remember that. Remember that? I said, don't do that. And everything,
Definitely.
you know, and then you could only go to the store, you know, like every 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because, you know, they're only open certain times and 6 feet, you know, and everything. And then so what you do is when you have all the food, you cook it all up. And then you have it all there, and then it's like, oh, I'm hungry. well, there's nothing else to do. Let's watch TV. Well, I'm hungry. Well, let's eat this and eat this. And it's like you have the COVID 20 or the freshman 20, as they say. And everyone was gaining weight because you had all this food. And so I relate to that. And people can relate to that too. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Eating up all the snacks.
Post-COVID, I'm sure that song is huge because everyone has so many similar experiences. Even if your lockdown experience wasn't similar mentally, what everyone was going through and all the different aspects of life that got just completely put on hold, to capsulize that in a song and have people be able to sing along with it specifically, I'm sure that makes people like, I know what you are talking about right now.
It was one of my most requested songs, and it was one of those songs that is like, really?
People love something they can sing along to.
Yeah.
They learn the words and they're like, play that one, I know that one.
Well, I mean, they were even calling it, the name of the song is Living the Dream, but they say, play what? Because that's the thing. What?
Right.
It's like,
the one lyric
okay.
I know.
So I know. I mean, the subtitle is, Living the Dream, parentheses, what?
What?
And when we would play online in a Zoom session, because everyone was muted, when it came to that part, they'd have a sign. They'd put up what, and you see the whole screen.
Right,
Everyone's putting what.
No way they're missing it.
Yeah.
Gotta
So I
figure
mean,
something
got
else out.
everyone smiling, and hey, that's what music is. You want to make people happy.
I think we should play it right here.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Living the Dream, parentheses, what?
What?
Living the dream during COVID-19. November and November's 19. Can we survive? Keep music alive. November and November's 19. What's the new normal? Does anyone know? Fighting this fiasco. Must sanitize to sterilize COVID-19 without a trace. No shower today, guess that it is okay. Scruffy face and greasy hair. No pants and Zoom, Netflix, Hulu. Facebook content streaming there. Living the dream during COVID-19. Never coronavirus 19. Can we survive? Keep music alive. Never coronavirus 19. Here on cooking 2 weeks at a time. Then venture out to the store. A tray of lasagna. Then shepherd's pie, chicken salad, so much more. Eating my snacks, hoping not to get fat. Stuck at home, no saving grace. My music is here, singing with my headgear. Trying not to touch my face. Living the dream during COVID-19. November 19. Can we survive? Keep music alive. November 19.
All right. Well, we hope you've enjoyed that. Rick, what are some other songs that have been particularly popular for you?
Let's see. I should have had a list here for that.
Or even songs that you hold particularly dear for
Well,
certain reasons.
I think it depends on the audience. It depends on the mood. I have a bunch of songs that I call silly, stupid songs. And there's one song that I wrote, it's called Tavern Queen. And it's actually loosely based on a true story. And I don't want to diss anyone, but it was about, I made it about me. I mean, it wasn't really. I mean, it was a story that you heard, but it was basically, there were these women who just were out looking for men. And they would stalk them. And if they didn't get what they wanted to, they would be vicious, almost like, Fatal Attraction type thing. Okay. And there was a rumor going around that one particular one would bite someone's face off, face biter. And so I wrote a song about that from my perspective. Like I go into a bar and having some drinks and someone's making eyes at me and all of a sudden they're coming over and we're dancing, having a good time. And it's like, yeah, see you later.
Don't go the way.
But then later on, this particular person hitched up with someone else and I met that guy and he had a bandage on his face. What happened? Oh, Queen bit my face off. So it's a fun, crazy song, but I get a lot of people that really like that song. And
it's like fun local folklore almost,
right. And it's morbid curiosity.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, when you're in an environment where, people are drinking and having a good time, it's one of those ones where it catches their attention and it goes over. It fits into that. And I guess a bunch of other crazy ones. I have one called Fast Food Oddity that talks about, all the fast food places and how the pictures look so good, but when you open it up, it doesn't look anything like that.
Yeah.
I need to hear that song.
And that one's called Fast Food Oddity Shum because sure looks like shum.
Yeah. So, what would be good is to have an audience respond to you like they did with what? But do you do like a full sing-along?
The answer is no, because I have so many originals that I'm always trying to mix it up.
Yeah.
And so unless you're an ardent follower of me and hear the songs ad infinitum, you probably could sing along with certain parts of it, but not the whole thing. So I wouldn't say that my songs are, let's get together and sing along to Ric's songs.
But they're unique enough that people start to listen to the lyrics and they're like, wait, what is he singing about? They might stop and listen and, relate to what you're saying or think it's funny.
Did he say what I thought he said?
Yeah, yeah.
Or like, oh, that's terrible, or, yep, I can relate to that.
Well, like, what did you say? And just because we just watched it, novel coronavirus 19 is what you said?
Oh, that's living the dream, yeah.
Living the dream. You said, novel coronavirus 19.
Yeah.
It was hard to hear exactly what you said.
Yeah, most of the people say, I don't know what you're saying, but I like that part.
Yep.
And I say, it's novel coronavirus 19.
Yeah.
It is? but the way I phrase it, it doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
But so fast. It's
and I'm also playing a lick in harmony with it. So it's
a combination of cadence, of the melody,
right.
mirroring the vocals.
And the
That's
speed
very
of it. I mean, it's very rapid. I
Yep.
mean, it's like 2 beats long.
Right.
Catch Me If You Can.
Well, that song I think is a good example of getting the audience involved. But what are some other performing techniques that you have found have helped?
I was going to say, to branch off that, I was going to ask how you prepare for gigs and if you have a certain routine that you perform, vocal warm-ups, things that you do before you're going to step out that kind of help you get you in the right mindset for a performance.
So let's answer that and then I'll answer your second one. If I'm going to be doing a job with all my originals, I look at my list to find out, did I play there before? Because I don't want to repeat.
Yep.
And then I'll pick new songs. And then I'll try to get them in a flow, depending on, if it's something where I'm playing myself, I can have a set that has a flow. But if it's going to be something where I play one or two, and then you play two, like that, I'll try to get hitters, in there to grab attention. Not to make it difficult for the next performer, but I want to promote myself. So how do I prepare other than that? I will sit at the piano and do my vocal exercises to clear up, my voice so I can sing because I have a range and I want to make sure that it works for me. And then I will practice the set. Just go through it. I call it a dry run for timing, for flow, for how does it feel, what are the message, all that. And that's...
Do you find enjoyment in building that flow? I know
I do.
myself as a musician, orchestrating a set list is really fun for me. I'm sure if they're all your original songs, that's kind of fun to think about how you can kind of paint this picture tonight and how you can make it different than whatever gig you played before or whatever.
I do live streams.
Oh, okay.
And every Tuesday I do an hour live stream.
Okay.
And most of the time I'll do an hour of originals.
Yep.
And once again, I'll look at the previous week and say, or the previous weeks, and say, well, which ones are going to play this week? What do I feel like? Because I am into alternative tunings.
Oh.
So I'll say, okay, what guitar do I feel like playing?
Yep.
And I've written songs for that guitar. And
interesting.
Depending on how many songs I have on that, I may have a few guitars around. So I'll arrange the songs so I'm always on one guitar, and then it's like that's done. Now I'm going over to this one. And every tuning emotes a different feeling and different type of song. And so it creates a musical voyage of sorts with the music that's coming from that. So once again, I'll pick what songs I'm going to do, try not to repeat what I had before. And is there a theme? Sometimes I'll say, this is related to a current events type thing, and these songs sort of fit into that, or otherwise, it's how I feel.
Yeah.
How I feel.
It's interesting to think about you picking up different instruments to emote something different. It's almost like, a workshop, picking up different tools. It's like, what are you going for? What are you feeling in that moment? How can I orchestrate that? And then going for it. I play piano, so it's just the one instrument. I can change the settings, but different tunings on a guitar is a whole different thing. And I feel like that's a really cool way to write music, perform music, keep it interesting, different. Do you bring different guitars to gigs with you as well, so you can do that live? You do? Okay.
I do. Which
had a feeling.
It's it's tough because at home it's easier. I can have 5 guitars set up and just reach over and get that. But to bring 5 guitars to me to play...
I was going to say, are you bringing a rack too to set it up? And
well, I have a rack that holds 3, but I try to narrow it down to 3 if I'm going to go live, unless it's a big show or something like that. But I also play keyboards too.
Oh, you do? Okay,
so
good for
if
you.
I'm in a keyboard mood, I'll say, hey, I'm going to play all keyboard songs today, and I write songs on keyboards. Plus, I also do covers too. I haven't written enough songs on keyboards to do like an hour's worth of just keyboard, but I can mix it up that way.
Is guitar your first instrument and keyboard second, or did you kind of learn them?
Actually, my first instrument was voice.
Okay.
And then guitar, and then keyboards, because when you're doing your voice, you got the keyboards.
You need support of some kind,
Yeah, you have to do your scales, and loosen that up, and then before you know it, you're writing songs. And
well, I'm curious because I know you a little bit, and so I know that I knew you were a piano tuner at one point, and you've done a lot of other musical things in the past. How did that all happen? Did you start out and you started with voice, went to guitar, went to piano, but what jobs did you have along the way that were related to music? Well,
I've been a musician since 1968, so I'm old as dirt. In this room, anyway. I think the environment and the music as it was at that point in time drove where I was going to go. So, for instance, I've been singing since I was in the 3rd grade, so I was in a lot of choirs and choruses and things like that. But when the early 60s came out and all this music was budding, brand new, it's like, oh, I like that. So when we were kids, my brother and my cousin were musicians also, and so we had a group.
Oh,
and
very cool.
We would play
What was it called?
Icy Sun.
That's awesome.
Icy Sun. Yeah, it's a good name.
Icy like ICY?
ICY, Icy Sun. Yeah,
Nice.
not Icy Sun, Icy
Yeah,
Sun.
Icy Sun. Okay.
Black Sabbath, if you cover them, the Icy Sun and Frosty Grove is song lyrics from a Black Sabbath song.
Okay.
So we would just play whatever was at the time. So I mean, it was the early beginnings of metal, and then you get into a little more pop, and then as time went on, you say, well, you know, if I'm going to make money with this, you have to prostitute yourself and do covers. So I played in cover bands and went on the road for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And played whatever music was there. I mean, I think early on was something called funk and bump,
Okay.
and then it turned into disco, and then it turned into rock and roll, and then it turned into.
So you've been everywhere.
I've done it all, and
You've
it
been
all,
everywhere, man.
I've been everywhere.
and it's all reflected in what I write. So
I was
because
going to
I
say,
played everything.
the fact that you can't pigeonhole yourself into a genre, that explains it right there. It's like you've played every genre before, so why limit yourself when you kind of have a toe in every single room?
Exactly. And with the alternative tunings, it brought me back to my early days of learning to play,
Okay.
because I didn't know anything. So when you have an alternative tuning, you don't know anything. You know, all you do is you play and it's like, oh, this sounds nice, you know. Now, I knew enough about what notes they are to find out what chord is this,
Yep.
or what should the next chord be. And you can go online these days and you know, find out chords for the alternative tunings. But a lot of it is what feels good, what sounds good, what do I feel, what's in here, and how am I going to get it across, and how am I going to relate it into something that the listener can identify with.
Yeah.
So you asked a question before. I forgot what your question was.
I know, I'm sorry.
It was about
I
performing
stampeded your
techniques.
question.
It was performing techniques. So,
Okay.
like, what are some of the performing techniques you thought of?
Okay.
Like,
Things that I've learned along the way.
okay.
Let me get a pen out.
Years ago, when I was on the road, we had a rule in the band that you could not have any music or any words on the stage. If it was a new song, you were allowed to have it for 2 performances. And after that, you could probably put it into an index card that had to be on the floor. So you had to, you couldn't put, you had like a magic marker with a few words.
Yep.
And it taught me to memorize things.
That's
so for
huge.
me, personally, and this is a bone of contention for me, you need to connect with the audience. And if you're too busy playing and looking at the words, you're not connecting. So a thing I learned early was memorize. If you mess up, you messed up. You just learn, don't mess up there again because you made a mistake. It's like when you're learning how to walk, you fall down.
Yep.
And then you find out, well, be careful when you're going up those stairs because I don't want to fall again. I'm going to take my time going on there. So you learn the hard way to do that. Another thing would be, you know, to make contact with the audience and focus on bringing them in. So you can look out in the audience and initially there might be 3 or 4 people that are paying attention. Others they're into their own thing and they're waiting for something that they can relate to. If you focus on the people that are already focused on you, those that are not focusing on you are seeing that others.
They're like, oh, what are they looking
Yeah,
at? What are
what
they
am I
listening
missing out?
to? Yeah.
The FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, because you'll play something, and someone will laugh or they'll connect with it, or they'll say, I didn't expect that. That's a good one. And others saying, oh, I missed something.
That robust expression, they look and it catches their attention.
I better pay attention because that. So It's not 100% effective, but if you start off with 3 and you end up with 10,
It's a pretty
those
good
are
payoff.
those are good percentages.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to have people that know your material, and they're automatically right away, it's like, oh, good, you're there, and they request songs. Can you play? What? Sure, I'll play.
And
for
they
you.
might be with friends who've never heard of you, and they're like, oh, you're going to love this guy, you know?
Yes.
And so that's more people that are being exposed to you in that positive light, and more
Right.
people that are interested in what you're doing and keeping their attention focused on you while you perform. And yeah, that's a good tactic. I hide behind my music. I feel like that you're teaching me a lesson right now.
Yeah,
It's definitely
it's a good lesson. It's a
something
good lesson
I need to work
because
on.
I remember one time this was late 70s, I was on the road and we were doing, we had some really good players in the band, and they used to call it, what are you guys playing, Berkeley backwash? Because it was not mainstream stuff, but you really would have to, there's a lot of technical stuff. Berkeley backwash.
I really like that, yeah.
That's what they said. We would be
Berkeley
playing up in
backwash.
Vermont, and they said,
Technical
enough of that
obscurity.
Berkeley backwash. Because they couldn't understand it. They wanted to hear the 3-chord songs.
It's probably what people these days would call math rock, where it's like, songs that are so technical that you almost have to have a musician's ear to listen to them.
Yes.
And you're like, wow, this is an 11-beat song. Like, it's in these weird time signatures, or it's got these technical riffs that people who don't play music probably can't follow or wouldn't understand in the way that.
prog rock.
Yes,
is
exactly,
they're calling
yes.
it. And a lot of my stuff is prog rock.
I love prog rock.
And I love it. I love it.
What's the weirdest time signature you ever tried?
Well, for my stuff, I don't venture too much out of between 3/4, 4/4, 2/4, 5/4, 7/4. Those are pretty standard things because although I can do 11/9, things like that,
I can't.
it's going to be too much.
Yeah.
You need
People's
you need
brains
other,
can't
yeah,
handle
you need
it,
other
yeah.
people
Yeah.
to make that happen. So if I was in an ensemble and we're working on something that had multi-metric things like that, you can fool people because it flows right. But if you really dissect it, it's like, wait a minute, you did a measure of 7/4, and then you went to 3/4, and then you went to 4/4, and then you went to 2/2.
Yep.
But it was organic.
Yep.
And math rock, as you said. So, but no, I don't stray too far from those time signatures that we talked about. Where I do stray from, and people can't understand this, is they'll often say, "Oh my God, no one can cover your songs. Why? Because you have so many chords." I'm saying, no, there's only 4 chords. No, you're doing more than 4. I use voicings. So it looks like I'm playing more chords, but
Sounds
it's
more intricate. Yeah, looks
it
harder.
opens it up to all these tonal things. So they said, oh no, play a song that has 3 chords, and I'll play the song. And they say, well, that has more than 3 chords. I said, no, it has E, D, and A, but I'm doing these voicings.
It's like
Oh,
frosting on a cake.
yeah, and okay,
Yeah.
like that. So it's like you have to be true to yourself.
Yep.
And do that. And as long as I like it and someone else likes it, works.
Exactly.
Not everyone has to like everything.
Yep.
I wish they would,
Yep.
but it's not everyone's
Is
cup
that
of tea.
something you learned over time, almost developing a thicker skin or standing more true to yourself and not caring what other people think because it's your music? Or is that something you've kind of always had where you just knew that you wanted to do it and that's all you needed?
It's definitely something I've learned over time, and I've actually written a song about that.
Perfect.
And it's the name of the song is called Status Quo, Tough Bananas, because a lot of times people would say they want, a 3-chord song, 3 chords and the truth. Nothing wrong with that. There have been plenty of great songs that have 3 chords.
Mm-hmm.
I like a little more than that. And I like variety.
Yeah.
And for many years, I'd be, beaten down. Oh no, it's too complicated. It's too complicated. And then I said, screw that. I learned a lot of things in life.
Yep.
One thing I want to share with you is be true to yourself.
Yep.
tough bananas is what everyone else is like. Tough bananas.
Yep.
I don't let it bother me.
Yep.
Status quo is out there. The 3-chord thing is like, nope. I'm going to play an Andalusian progression
Yep.
that everyone knows, but I'm going to do it my way, and you're going to think it's difficult because I'm putting some color in the chords.
Yep.
Oh, okay. If you put it that way, yeah.
Well, it comes across as more authentic too when you're doing that, because people know that you like your own music and you wanted to write it, you're proud of it. Like if you go out there and you're like, oh, this is a crappy song, I hope everybody likes it. It's like people aren't going to respond to that, you know what I mean? You can't play a pity card. If you go out there and you're like, I don't care if you like this. I wrote it, I'm proud of it, I'm happy to be here, hope everyone has a good night, and you just start doing it. People are automatically drawn to the confidence, to your presentation of it, and want to listen to it because you like it and want to present it.
Exactly, and there's another part of that too, is various people have different likes. Some people hone in on the vocals and the message, and others the music.
Yep.
And others everything. Now I am lucky, fortunate, gifted in a sense that I'm a good guitar player. So if I'm just in guitar, I'm in the audience and I'm really only into guitar, they can like what I'm playing because I'm a good guitar player.
Yep.
On the other hand, I'm a good singer. So if they're not into the guitar and stuff like that, they'll say, oh my God,
There's
you can
multiple
sing.
facets
You can
that
sing.
they could be. Yeah.
So I have this arsenal of tools that I can pull out when I need to pull in various people
Yep.
at different times.
I wanted to ask you earlier too, have you ever taken a professional or formal setting musical lesson? Are you self-taught? How did that come about?
It's a complex answer. Because I went to a parochial school, and at the time I didn't understand why, but we had music teachers and they were teaching us music theory, and I said, when am I ever going to use this? I am so glad, because at that age you're like a sponge.
Yep.
And you retain that information, so later on when I could
When
use
you realize it was
it's like,
important.
oh, that's what that meant. And so I had a leg up
Yep.
on that. So
Yep.
I had, indirectly, I had some music theory and instruction on singing.
Yeah.
When it came to guitar, I started off just teaching myself with various books and whatnot.
Which I find on guitar is more difficult. I play piano and I'm like not self-taught, but I think teaching on piano is much easier. So I commend people that have just taught themselves to play on a guitar. For me, that's baffling.
The nice thing about piano is all the notes are all in a row.
They're right there.
We're on a guitar, I can play you 4 middle C's.
Yeah.
You know, okay. You only have 1 middle C on the piano.
Yep.
So it's different there. So between books for music like Melba Theory and jazz chords and all the various resources we had out there, when I was on the road, I was fortunate enough to work with some really good people who pointed out and says, you're doing that wrong. Your technique is wrong.
Okay.
And because I was self-taught, I learned bad habits.
Yep.
So I had to undo
That's
that
difficult.
for, I'm going to say, it seemed forever, but for a number of years.
That's the stage I'm in right now. Unlearning all the bad habits I've taught myself.
I had to relearn everything. So you take like 4 steps backwards.
Yeah.
But once you get past that,
It's worth the
it
effort.
opens it all up, because the more you know, the more you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was so glad that I had someone to say, you got 4 fingers.
Yep.
Use them all. I mean, some people use their thumb a lot, and then you Eddie Van Halen, he's got this off the board, and I mean, everything.
So not necessarily a musical instructor, but a musical mentor that's willing to just point out what they see to try to help you become a better musician.
Exactly.
Nice.
And which I was fortunate to have that, because some school of thoughts would be, I'm better than you and I'm not going to help you. It's like, where this one is, I can help you. You're doing that wrong, do it this way.
Yep.
Really? Yes.
I promise.
Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. And for a couple of years, it was really, really tough. But once I got through it, it's like, people wouldn't hear me for a couple of years, and then when they'd hear me again, they said, what have you been doing? Practicing.
Yeah, big
Practicing.
time. Yep. That's awesome. And definitely quite a journey. It sounds like you've covered a multitude of genres. I'm sure touring, you've covered a multitude of states in the country. I don't know where you toured, but just being...
Eastern Seaboard, Canada.
Yep.
Yeah.
But travel is interesting, and that builds more life experience that then affects the music that you're able to write, because you're writing about these things that have happened to you,
Yes.
experiences you've had across the country with other people. It's just, there's a lot of database to pull off of when you're looking to pull from your lyric pool or write some sort of song or express yourself. So.
And I was lucky in the time that when I was growing up, was a lot of the music was still in its infancy and maturing. So I had the luxury of learning things as they were new versus
Yep.
today, although it's still fresh, but it's 50 years old.
Yep.
But you have people who are learning things today
Yep.
that, wow, I learned that when I was 16,
When it first came out,
But the tools they have today, oh my God. Back then, when we had to get the words, you get the record and you put it on the thing, and, okay, write that word, start it again, start it again, start it again.
Yep.
Or if you had a cassette, rewind, go
Yep.
forth and so.
I remember doing that. Yeah.
Now you got YouTube,
You Google the lyrics and they come right up.
There they go.
Or if you didn't have money for the record or for the cassette,
You tape the
wait till
radio.
it's on the radio.
Yeah,
You
done
tape
that.
it.
Done that many
Then
times.
you listen to it. Yeah.
And then you're just going on what you heard. I mean, I can't tell you how many words I had wrong.
Yeah.
And I probably still sing them wrong because I've been singing them wrong forever.
Yeah.
They say, that's not the words. And
They
I
are
said,
to me.
Yeah. I said, they are now.
Yeah.
And it was always so exciting when you'd get like the CD or record with the lyrics.
With the lyrics,
And then you
yeah.
could just copy them down, and then you knew exactly what the lyrics were, which was great.
That's
So
excellent.
we're getting ready to wrap up here. So what do you have to tell other performers? Do you have advice on what to do?
Practice. And open up your mind to other things, because everyone has an art, and there's something good in everyone's art regardless of their skill. There's something magical in everyone that you can adapt and borrow and incorporate into your own art. I think that's the takeaway.
That's great advice.
Yep. And so this has been Performers on Performing. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and this is Amanda Vantine, who will be perhaps going solo on the next interview. We'll see. And this is Ric Page. Ric has lots of performances coming up all over the place. But if you want to check him out, you have an online presence. So what would they go to see your live streams, which are pretty regular?
I have a YouTube channel, but it's not my name. It's Tuba. And although if you Google my name, you can probably it will come up.
I looked you
anyway.
up on YouTube today. It comes
But
right
if you'd
up.
like to see, any of my live streams, you could go to Facebook and search my name, and Eagles Nest Revisited. And I also do a lot of virtual open mics. But I try to take all of my performances and put them on to YouTube.
Yep.
So people who don't use social media, at least they have that.
Yep.
Right, and onebroadway.org is a website for One Broadway Collaborative, and Ric will be there pretty often. He's at open mic almost every week, so you might be able to see him at an open mic and then play yourself, and then you can get Ric's opinion on your performance, so that would be great.
I'll tell you, it was a great job.
So this has been a lot of fun. Thanks, Amanda, for helping host.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
And we will be back with more music, comedy, and other performances fairly soon. The show, as you know, is Wednesdays at 8 p.m. So just keep an eye on the LCAT channel for Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and you can just watch whatever we've got on. Could be an actor, could be a musician, could be a comedian, could be a poet, could be a writer. You never know. So it's pretty exciting. And check out onebroadway.org. That's onebroadway.org. And it's on the screen, right? Am I going the right way? Is it this way? Okay. So it's hard to tell because I'm here.
You just go like that.
Yeah. This is backwards, I think. I think it's this way. So, yeah. Okay. So, everybody have a great week and do lots of performing, listen to lots of music, and go see lots of performances. Live music, live comedy, live acting, all that stuff. Go out and see things in person.
Yes.
That's always fun. So,
And like Rick said, practice.
practice makes perfect. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a nice night.
This next song is still appropriate. Words were written by a poet in the UK called Brian. His name is Brian Bilston. The music and the melody is mine. England is a cup of tea. France a wheel of ripened brie. Greece a short, stout olive tree. But America is a gun. America is a gun. Brazil's football in the sand. Argentina Maradona's hand. Germany an umpa band. But America is a gun. America is a gun. Shoot 'em up, shoot 'em up. Holland is a wooden shoe. Hungary a goulash stew. Australia a kangaroo. But America is a gun. America is a gun. Whoa, shoot 'em up, shoot 'em up. Japan is a thermal spring. Scotland is the Highland flame. Oh, better to be anything than America as a gun. America as a gun. Whoa, shoot 'em up, bang.